stream since July.
France.
I can't.
Oh, we're live. Look at that.
Are we live? I'm not seeing the video showing up on your thing.
This says waiting for
there we
Dark
go, there
Corner
we go.
Studios.
Yeah, there we go.
All I've got is there we are. There we are. Cool. How's everybody doing? 3 people in right now? There you are. Just make sure everything. I've got turn my phone off. First live since July. How was your August?
My August, it feels like it just kind of flew by, but when I think, like, yeah, there ends up, hang on, I'm just getting the lights to not look fucking brothely. First cuss of the stream, too.
How's it going, Mark? By the way, hi, Dan. Barbecuing some, he's using the Traeger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, doing some ribs up. So how was your August?
Good. Busy. Lots going on. Lots of spending of money.
Oh yeah, you spent a lot of money. Yeah, you also had a birthday party.
Yeah, they have a big birthday.
I'm getting little hearts in chat. That's weird. 13. Mark's 13. Holy crap.
Oh wow.
Welcome to the stream, buddy. Now I feel guilty for all the swear words.
Yeah, we gotta dial that back a little bit.
Just a touch. Richard, how's it going, brother? And Mr. Awesome Sauce. I love that name.
That's a memorable name for sure.
Yeah. So, how was your birthday? I didn't end up going because I pretty much had COVID. So
good. It was low key. It was my kind of thing. Like, I have a friend, one of my exes actually, who her birthday's on the same day as me. And so, and we were both same year, same month, same day.
Oh, wow.
So she's also
and
having
you dated her?
birthday as well. What?
And you dated her and you had to have the birthday on the same day?
Yeah, it was weird. And especially because she would never remember. And I'm like, how do you not remember that? Like, that's the easiest thing to remember. Like,
that's awesome.
I know everyone that I've met that has the same birthday as me. I know like 5 people.
Oh, that's weird.
That have the same birthday as me. Yeah, it's very weird. And like other people with birthdays like a day or before or behind mine. It's very odd. Somebody I work with actually. But and she had like 40 people.
Wow.
At her birthday thing, and it was at her parents' place, and there was a split second, and I was there's a split second where I'm kind of like I'm kind of jealous. But I'm like, you know what? I am quality over quantity. Because I'm like, it's at your parents' place, so probably 37 out of those 40 people are like your parents' friends.
Yeah.
Which is, whatever. Like, I would rather have a small gathering of like less than 20 people, of people that I actually care about and keep tabs on, and I'm kind of relaxed around. Just like having big crazy parties is fun too. But for something that's literally a party for me, so I get to kind of call the shots, I think that would be, and that's kind of what it ended up being. It ended up being a small group of a few friends, some family members, some spouses of friends.
Nice.
And yeah, was very low key, a lot of
I like
cake.
the low key better because you get lost in the crowd when it's your birthday and like 40 people are there and you're just one of the people
like
at the party.
We got back and it was kind of a surprise party. My dad and I went out driving to we went to get some Five Guys milkshakes and just have kind of a guys' day on the town.
Nice.
Went to Long and McQuaid, played some guitars, that kind of stuff.
The good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and coming back and crazy, surprise, not really, but surprise. People coming over, had some family in from out of town, was kind of neat.
Nice.
But I was also exhausted because me and my partner here had just gotten back from vacation in London, the lesser London, Ontario, London.
The lesser London.
I have to specify because one of us was in the real London. But and so I was just burnt out because I just met like her extensive family, which was a lot of fun. But just socially, just burnt light bulb, And so going right out of that and then to my parents' place to vacation to birthday, I was like, hey, Greg, can I sleep? Is that something that I can do? Can I sleep for my birthday?
Yeah, she was setting that up for like a month prior too.
But it was
So
good. I was annoyed because the day before I left for vacation, I guess the week after our last stream, um, my monitor died. My 27-inch monitor mounted computer monitor in the studio. I was like, okay, well that's an expense I'm gonna have to indulge in when I get back. $360 later.
Oof.
Jesus, like technology, and I mean, okay, it's a 4K monitor. It's a Samsung, so not messing around. It's HDR10 enabled. Like it's actually a pretty good monitor.
That's a decent price for all that too.
Yeah. I'm now in the DisplayPort world, which is kind of nice.
Good. Oh,
and away from HDMI.
Welcome. Yeah, I don't talk to me about my monitor. It costs like $1,200. Worth it though.
Well,
43 inches is so worth it.
See, I mean that's at like a television price at that point, basically.
Yep.
And televisions don't make good monitors, and Linus actually talked about that in a video a while back about how the problem with monitors is you have certain pixels that get burn in because they've been left in the same image for like hours at a time, whereas TVs aren't really designed for that. They're designed for motion picture kind of stuff.
Well, this isn't actually it is a monitor. I don't know what makes the difference, but I
imagine in a case like one thing I found that everyone talks about is like reaction time, especially when it comes to gaming. Reaction time, maximum frame rate. Like this monitor with all its bells and whistles is still just 60 FPS is the refresh rate. So
I think this one's 75 hertz, 4K. Yeah. Just getting to people here. Mark was the one sending hearts in the chat. I didn't know you could do that. Turns out all it takes is bring a kid in to teach you how to do that. Interesting. He says that he's don't feel bad, man. I don't tell that often to people. Don't have so many producer friends I can talk about music, so I come here. That's kind of cool. 13 years old is a budding producer. I'm absolutely honored. Thanks for joining us, Mark. Marlo,
I was there. I remember, man. I remember exactly what I was doing when I was 13. Oh, maybe that's what we should do for the stream.
God. Oh dear God.
So let's restrict it to like what you were doing of artistic variety when you were 13. Were you learning an instrument? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was 5 years in on playing guitar. I was writing horrible music. I was performing that music for anyone that would listen. I literally would perform for a complete and utter stranger. Did not care. I was playing my heart out, and all the songs were heartfelt and like, written by a 14, 15 or 13, 12, 13-year-old. Yeah, it was one of those like, damn, man, I was like the proverbial artist from the beginning. So what about you? Were you performing or were you like producing?
Oh God. When I was 13, I would have been 11 years into playing piano, technically.
Damn, 2 years old?
2 years old, yeah.
Jesus.
And I would have been, I guess, 4 years into playing bass.
Nice.
And about a year into playing guitar, give or take. And then, only really got seriously into guitar when I hit high school anyway, when I actually got a decent guitar.
Yeah.
That kind of incentivizes you to want to try a little harder. But yeah, I was using, what was the DAW that I was using? Because I was dicking around with stuff at that point.
Mine was Cakewalk. I was 100% into Cakewalk back in the 90s.
I was a Guitar Pro guy for a bit. But that was later actually. I think I was like 14 or 15 when I would do more stuff in Guitar Pro. Magic's Music Maker.
I had Emagic Logic. That was the one I used. Emagic Logic, which was the precursor to that. Oh God, that must have been 91.
Yeah. And most of it was just a play around thing. Like I tried recording into it, but the latency was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't. And for years I struggled with the latency problem. Oh my God, that used to be the bane of my existence. Because eventually I moved to Sony Acid, which used to be actually a pretty capable DAW.
It
You know,
still
and
is,
then
from what I can tell.
yeah, Magic's bought it now, and now it's weird. Now they have like Magic's Acid.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, it pretty much looks the same. I think I have it. And I opened it. I'm like, you guys didn't do anything. You changed the color from like a washed out pinky color to like a dark gray. That's all you did. You didn't change anything. The faders are still. You're idiots.
Yeah, I went
Um,
Logic to Cakewalk to Sony Soundforge. That was my
Nice,
kind of
nice.
progression.
Yeah, I had SoundForge too. As far as the single track editor, and oh
Yeah.
man, I used to mess around with the signal generator for hours. I was such a nerd. Um, fuck. I would do like frequency sweeps and like crank the sub so like the house would just shake to pieces. It was
Nice.
so like THX swell in the middle of there, like what the fuck. But anyway, yeah, no, I don't know. I was definitely doing musical stuff, not seriously, when I was 13. So I can appreciate Mark's ability
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is me. Because I certainly did not have that identity at that point.
Marlo de Ocampo. Good morning from Tokyo. How's it going? Early morning Tokyo. Mark wants to know, is my laptop speaker today, or you're not using mics? It's your laptop speaker. Also, I know your Mic Pro people want to know if you recommend some great studio monitors. KRK Rockets are great. They're okay. They're good starters. They're cheaper, and yeah, they're gonna give you what you want for a relatively decent price. And yes, the SE2200 is a great starter mic. It's a fantastic all-around microphone. Then it goes on to say, let me tell my story. I was 3 or 4 when my grandma sent me a little electric piano from Italy. I started playing piano, found my talent, and I'm going to many concerts of piano. Now I'm a laureate pianist, first place in Europe at a piano concert I won. Jesus.
Whoa. That's impressive. Wow.
That's
wild.
fantastic, Mark. Dylan, how were you? Now you are a fantastic pianist. Like phenomenal pianist.
No, obviously, don't even.
No. This isn't. I'm not doing that. I'm asking where you were at 13. That's all I'm asking. Because you are a phenomenal pianist. I just want to know, were you fantastic at 13?
No. I think until I started to, because I couldn't sight read to save my life. My sight reading was atrocious. So that always kind of kept me back from pursuing learning music theory through classical means, in the sense that, going through the conservatory system would have been the ideal, because that's kind of what you do. Either that or like Berklee School of Music, or Juilliard, something like that, right? But so that, I ended up going to Canterbury and being exposed to a lot of it just through osmosis. But I think for me, when I started to kind of be taken under a few people's wing in my later teens, just sort of as like, hey, you have skill, like we can spend some time with you.
Nice.
Like just individually, like nothing through a school or anything, but just like learning through other people, and then getting a lot into jazz theory. Honestly, jazz theory, and I'm quite versed in conventional theory as well. Just through my own research and reading on the subject, talk about cadences and voicings and all that kind of stuff. I got a good grasp of model theory and all that stuff too. But like, when I learned jazz theory, that's when I started to learn the emotion of playing piano. I don't feel that as much with a lot of classical theory. I find you actually get more performance insight from jazz theory. You get more voicing and building out chords and playing something like an organ. Yeah, you get a lot of that from classical theory. But I think jazz theory revolves more around performance and conveying emotions in the music itself, and conveying some really complicated emotions too.
Yeah, it's like the difference between metal and blues, man. Like, there's a big difference.
But
Dan,
yes, all I'll say is no. I was nowhere remotely useful on the piano at 13.
I'll share mine in a second here, but Dan says, shucks, I didn't have new DAWs yet when I was a youngin'. Yeah, you know what? DAWs, I got into it as DAWs were becoming popular, and a good friend of mine named Marvin that I used to go to camp with, he's the one that introduced me to Emagic Logic, and we sat down, we recorded a song, and it was a wicked song. It was just him on piano and me on guitar, and he recorded it, gave it to me, and I literally showed it to everybody. And it was one of the first time that I actually had something recorded that sounded somewhat half-assed decent for the time, mind you. I'd done stuff on 4-track, but Like you couldn't get the sound quality out of that. Yeah, so Dawes, big deal. And if you've been playing with him long enough, you should have you should know what you're doing. Although I've gotten yelled at a lot from the last video I did about how to choose a DAW. And Mark says we should do collabs or something like this with Dylan. That would be hilarious.
I was gonna say, if we do that, you're playing piano. I'm not playing piano.
Yeah, screw that.
I can do mean organ. And I've always been as Mark knows as well, I'm sure. There's lots of keyed instruments, lots of instruments that have like sort of Germanic style manuals, like a piano or an organ of some kind, or like a harpsichord. But all these instruments are different. They all have their different idiosyncrasies and different performance considerations. Like here's a good example, right? With a piano, you hit the keys softly and the notes are quiet, and you hit the keys loudly and the notes are loud. Pretty intuitive. Organs, they're not pressure sensitive at all. They're on-off switches. And you control the volume with a pedal, and all of the keys change volume together. You can't have one key be quiet and like they're all the same volume. That's weird. And so for a pianist, but I've spent a lot of time around organs. I'm very comfortable around organs. I understand the differences. It's kind of like guitar and bass, right? Playing bass. And, bass players get such a bad rep because there's so many guitar players that just basically got forced to learn bass rather than like actual, like, no, I learned how to do bass properly. Like you look at Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney's not a bass player. He plays bass. He plays bass, and it does what he needs it to do for what it is. But he's not a bass player. Nor would I expect him to be.
As all the Beatles stands are gonna hunt you down for saying that.
Oh yeah, I know they're gonna say, they'll be like, well, no, he's got great bass. Like, yeah, so do I. I mean, but mind you, I am actually I'm a bass player.
So my history in music is when I started playing guitar, and I gave some of this out when I did the eulogy for my dad. I go back and watch that once in a while. Just I love that video, and it's just still kind of makes me sad. But from there, and this is kind of an old man complaining, I didn't have the internet to teach me how to do things. If you wanted to learn an instrument when I was young, you had to go buy books. You had to learn from books. You could buy DVDs or VHS play-alongs, but there was no way to learn outside of purchasing stuff, bringing it home, and working with it. And I bought tab books of bands that I liked, but I learned a lot of stuff all on my own. And this was pre me taking 15 years off playing guitar. And I did quite well with what I had. And I took grade 12 advanced jazz. And by the time I'd hit grade 12 advanced jazz, I was pretty damn good at playing a guitar for somebody in grade 12. And I remember because the teacher was like, are you okay? Do you know how to read notes? So I taught myself how to spot read for guitar. And I got really quick and really good at it. Mostly it was just memorization. Once I played it through a couple times, I memorized it, didn't have to look at the sheet anymore. That was because that's what a guitarist does. And so went through that. But what it ended up showing me is I'd learned everything. I just didn't know I knew it already. I knew all the major and the minor scales and all that. I just didn't know that they were the major and the minor scales. I just played a lot of stuff and already figured a lot out. Like, there's a ton of
and that's what happens when you teach yourself by ear. And you end up kind of doubling up on stuff because you realize something sonically. Like a good example for me on piano was a turn, right? Something that's called a turn in the piano, where you basically kind of insert a little grace note between two. If I had a piano a little closer to my arm, I would demonstrate it, but I'm not going to lean this far out of frame to do it. But just it's kind of like a little glide, almost like a pitch bend, on a piano. And I was like, I noticed that and then learned to replicate it just with the roll of my wrist kind of thing over or across some keys. And then later on found out from like Herbie Hancock that no, that's a turn. And I'm like, oh, nice.
I always used to look at soloing as a bunch of tricks kind of strung together with motions between them. So you would have like one little trick, and then you'd have like a climb to the next little trick, and then you bring it down to this little trick. And that's how I learned how to play guitar and how I learned music. And then all of a sudden I'm in grade 12 advanced jazz, and they're like, no, that's actually called this. That's actually called, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't know. Like I knew, like, the amount of sharps that were in a different scale and this. I just didn't know that I knew it. I used a lot of things through patterns on the guitar. Like I learned through patterns on the playing.
Well, yeah,
the
and I think like you talk about learning, memorizing stuff, and that's what guitarists do. I think, yeah, guitar players, you memorize shapes.
Yeah.
Shapes of things across the 6 strings, and after a while you literally look at it and it's like there's an overlay in your head of like, oh yeah, okay. And eventually you cement that in.
I think it was about 3 years ago I heard about the cage system. I had never heard that. Then I'm looking over, I'm like, oh shit, I know this. Yeah, like
you're like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Jesus.
That's easy, man. I know all that stuff. But it's like, this is the thing about not like it. Had I known this stuff, had this stuff been available to me, man, my teens and 20s would have just literally been all music. I would have gotten so much further, because directed learning is always going to be better than kind of meandering through and grabbing stuff at will. So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when it comes to on the composition side, the improv side, like I've always done well at instrumental improvisation. That's always been a strong point for me. And so I think with that, it's learning to separate yourself from the tricks and literally convert something you're thinking into a series of notes,
a melody.
And you can use some of those tricks, in transitional elements, but actually kind of being so connected to the neck that it's like you're talking. And that's sort of what, from an improvising standpoint, what I've been getting more into.
Well, that's the expression even
like
of
having
what you do.
Having a freeze pedal, which I have now on my pedal board, and like playing a random chord, freezing it, and then trying to improvise something on top of it, just what feels natural, not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Not spending any time. Like I can always tell when I hear a solo and a musician is thinking about it. Yeah. Because they end up getting very locked up and regulated by too many rules.
Yep.
And there's a lot of intellectual power that goes into that, but it's not, for me, it's not as relatable. Because there's nothing emotional about it.
Yep.
And that's the problem. It's too like, well, this is what a music theory book would tell you to do. It's like, okay, great. I don't feel anything. You're not making me feel anything. I'm not feeling like you feel anything other than, hey, wow, look at this great solo I'm writing.
Yeah.
All the best solos are great solos, great improvisation, because they're emotional.
Yeah. Mark says Mark's going to bed. He's in Moldova.
Oh my gosh.
My only thought of Moldova, the only thing I know about Moldova, is at the end of Red. If you haven't seen the movie Red with Bruce Willis. At the end, they have a thing where they end up going to Moldova. And that's all I know about Moldova. I should look into it more. Have a good sleep, Mark. It's after midnight there. Dan also says his isomorphic keyboard uses chord shapes for the piano. And I would like to hear what happens when Dylan gets an Osmos. What's an Osmos?
Dylan, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
I'm honest. I'm drawing a blank.
Shrimp! Shrimp's here. How you doing, buddy? It has been a while. It's like all my old buddies coming back to the bar after taking some time off.
It's been a while for all of us at this point.
I'm looking it up. What an Osmos.
So I have a gear story, by the way.
Oh, cool. Oh, okay. Expressive E Osmos 49 from Moog Audio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, polyphonic synthesizer.
I really want a Rolly Seaboard. That's something that I've been, and it's one of those like polyphonic pianos, or not polyphonic, but microtonal, I should say, microtonal pianos. And it's like a pad, but it's got little piano bumps on it, and it's just this rubberized, super sensitive kind of surface. You can do some really cool stuff with it. So yeah, that's been on my, a new MIDI controller in general has been on my radar for a bit, but I just spent,
I picked up
almost.
a MIDI synthesizer, and I rarely ever use it because it's just so little time to sit and fuck around.
Mhm.
I think Mark's gone to bed, so I can swear now. Mark says, "Thanks for the conversation, both Aiden and Dylan. Have a good night, brother."
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish I had more time for that kind of stuff, and it's funny too because let's actually move to something here. A couple things that I learned during my time off is I need to take better care of myself. I actually struggled with a lot of anxiety over the time off and stuff like that, and trying to pull away and expectation of work. YouTube's a bitch. I
Mm.
can't express how brutal YouTube is. So, Linus Tech Tips. Did you follow this, Dylan? The whole Linus Tech Tips bullshit?
No.
Oh, you didn't even wow. Okay, the world was ablaze with Linus. So Linus basically got called out for horrible practice with reviewing and testing, his testing methodology, and mistakes were being made. And Gamers Nexus actually
Mhm.
did a video calling him out, a long
Oh.
video, and it was bad. Like, Gamers Nexus goes to the numbers. They are a very mathematical style channel. And they basically ripped Linus a new one. The whole community got split. People like basically telling Linus, "Oh, I'm never coming back," because there was a bunch of really bad mistakes in videos. And Linus they took a whole week off doing videos. Then they came back and they had this is what we're going to do. This is the methodology we're going on. But one of the things that whole thing taught me was that YouTube's a merciless bitch. You literally cannot stop. And it's not because of YouTube. Let me be clear. YouTube, there's nothing about YouTube inherently that's making you do anything. Even the algorithm. If I take a month off and I all of a sudden drop a video, YouTube's not going to look at me and go, "Well, you took a month off. Screw you." It doesn't work
Mhm.
that way. However, your crowd, your group, the people that you service with these videos, will walk away. They will find somebody else. They're going to find something else that fills their time more than you do. So if you
Well,
take a month off,
yeah, it gets it. You gotta always find ways to be at the top of the pile constantly, and
exactly.
if you drop the ball on that for any amount of time, you get buried immediately.
All media is like that. This is not
Yep.
something new. This is something like if you changed channels back in the 80s, it would be a while until you changed back to that channel. It's just how people consume. So if you teach somebody that at 11 a.m. on Monday to go somewhere else for a video, they might not come back for a time, if not at all. There is literally a point in everyone's life on every channel where you just watch for the last time. I haven't watched a Peter McKinnon video in forever. And it's
Yeah.
just because tastes, interests, all this stuff change. And that is the driving force behind why you feel this anxiety around doing content. Because there's always this drive to know. If you're a media, especially if you've been in media before, you know damn well that you literally have to give people any shot to not watch your product. That's all you got to do. Give them any reason to turn you off and not come back, and they will take it. And
Yeah,
I
well,
think
and also in media, you're always on the next thing, so there's no like celebration of something you did really well. It's just like, hey, great, okay, next thing.
yeah,
It is. I told one of my coworkers today we were changing some stuff in the logs to fix this clusterfuck of a weekend series of weekend shows that we had year-end imaging scheduled for Monday, for God's sake. Like what?
yeah, that
And so swapping out this stuff, and I told him, I said, you know what I feel like? I feel like a line cook sometimes. I feel like a line cook.
yep.
I said we should have like a little slot window between us and the writers. Just area serving up, order up. All right, next thing. Like, I hate it. But that's media. Media is an endless stream of work. There's
Endless.
never work not to be
Nope.
done. Like there's always something to do.
And
in
YouTube is that way too. There's a thumbnail that I've been meaning to update for, I'd say about a month and a half. It hasn't been on the list. When I sit down at the computer, there's always more. And then I'm still technically doing a day job. I edit podcasts, which is my main source of income, which I'm editing one podcast, one episode a week, and I make more money than I make on YouTube. Like that's like the the caveat with all this, right? So there's so much, and it's just been. Dan asked, "Is the algorithm got me down?" No, because the algorithm is actually quite awesome. The algorithm is you guys. You guys are technically the algorithm. You serve up content that people want to watch. People are going to watch it. The second channel I have is exact proof of that. I just uploaded a short that got 2,500 views yesterday. If you do decent content that people want to watch, people are going to see it. People are going to watch it, and that's fine. And that's this is a little more niche than that second channel, which is fine as well. It's just the algorithm. It's what's in your brain. It's not necessarily the algorithm that gets you down. It's that constant like you got to have something. You got to go. Let's get this going. Let's do this. Let's do this. And that's always part of the mentality. And I think I pushed myself too hard to get this month off. So I made sure I had 4 extra videos. And then people started complaining that I actually had videos in the coffer. One guy commented, he's like, "Oh, let me guess, you recorded this last month." I'm like, yes, because I took a month off. So I think there's a lot of like,
People, I don't get it because it's the same amount of work. It's just
Yeah.
you're just condensing it. It's not like you're slacking off. It's like,
Well-
no, you take the month off and the month leading up to it, you work twice as hard. That's literally
it's not
media.
like I did anything time sensitive, right? Like that's the thing. Like the LS208 video that I had there, I had that LS208 for probably 4 months, and I feel bad because those guys sent it to me. But the amount that LS208 required to be given to it to be able to do that review was more than I had to give at the time. And this is the thing. I don't just want to slap out a review and go, all right, review's done, because that's not fair to a company that's sending me a product. One, I want to treat it fairly. So I want to put it through all the tests. I want to do all the things for it. If it's a shitty mic, I want to be able to find out. I don't just want to put it in front of my face and go, duh, this sounds good. Like the music piece that I did with the LS208, that took a while to put that together, to record it, because the recording is actually me actually playing, not the usual YouTube magic of somebody recording and then just miming the play. No, that was actually me playing the song while it was recorded on the camera. So just getting those shots took forever. And then the bathroom setup and doing all the things and having a little bit of fun with it. I didn't have the time before I went on vacation to drop that video in June, which does suck because I do feel bad that I've had it. I still have their LS120s. But I still have a bunch of stuff to get to for reviewing. But it's just one of these, like, I want that to be my push to get the reviews done rather than the, oh my God, I need to have a video out. And I think that's kind of where I came to the conclusion, which I'm not going to put videos out. But I think it's just the mentality and wrapping my head around why I'm doing videos. I'm not doing videos to get them out on Monday at all. Like I'm not going to crank out a video for Monday just to have a video on Monday. And I think that in the back of your mind, as long as you're keeping that kind of central to your thought process about doing it, it's a little bit easier to maintain. And I think that's going to be my goal. And I'm going to actually address this in a video on Monday. I do still have the Boss Gigcaster 5 review, which, by the way, is very interesting because I don't know if they're going to like the review on it, which I fought really hard to get this. I kind of feel bad, but this is also proof sending me product doesn't get you a decent review. I will have to say it's one of the most fun things I've played with, but yeah. I have to finish that review, and there's a lot of work to get done with it, mostly the music. And it will get done, but it's also, okay, what am I doing for Monday? Am I going to ruin my weekend finishing this to get it done by Monday? Maybe it gets done by Wednesday. And I think that's the one thing I'm going to be doing, and I'll probably be talking about in Monday's video. I also have a new background that I've been working on, stuff like that. But I think I'm not going to be doing a weekly video on the exact same day. I'll still be doing a weekly video, but it might come on Tuesday, might come on Wednesday. I don't know. And I think that's going to be something in my brain that I can kind of be able to handle a little bit more. And if I can get the videos out Monday, that's going to be my first choice. Mm-hmm. But if I can't, it comes out Tuesday, and I just don't give a shit. And I think that's the big thing about it is like, I have to like kind of cinch some things up. Working with a day job that I'm doing right now that is so high pressure and high stress that go, go, go. Get the script, got to get it done. Get the script, got to get it done. I think that's made me kind of like pull back on that mentality with YouTube. I don't know. Do you think that'll have an adverse effect, Dylan, if I did that?
I mean, a brand is a promise consistently kept. Operative word being consistent.
Yeah. It'll still be weekly.
But, again, at the same time, it could go the other way because some people would say that when you become less patterned and less predictable, that people are a little bit more residually sort of anticipatory. They're like, when's it going to come out? Like they're keeping their eye out for it because they're like, I want to see the next video. Obviously, the P1s, like the people who are here, are probably the only people that that would care enough to do that. Most people would just fall off the radar.
I think for the most part,
I think the live stream, as long as the live stream is in a consistent place, then when the actual videos drop, it doesn't really matter. Even time of day, I'm sure, is just like, I mean, there are times of day that are more ideal to have releases happen in general.
Actually, no, that's actually been disproven. YouTube will say that the time of day doesn't matter, and I've accidentally released a video at midnight that had better performance than a video that I released at my regular time. Like, it's fascinating when you look at this stuff. However, what I will say,
I was going to say, but you would think, you're releasing a time just based on common sense. The notification that you released the video will go out when you release the video. So if you release it at 2 a.m. when you know that most of your audience is sleeping.
Yeah, but who's most of my audience? So when I look at my video, the people that watch my video is still only 5% of subscribers. So 95% of my views that come in for almost every video are not subscribed to the channel. That's the interesting part about releasing videos.
And in your case, you've got a lot of content that appeals to people around the world. So there's going to be people up and about on their phone at some point. Doesn't matter what video you release.
It's interesting. So I will say this, 99% of the time, I keep throwing these percentages out like it means something. 99% of the time, I will be releasing Mondays still. What I'm putting at is I'm no longer wrecking my life
mental
to get
health.
that. Yeah, to for 10 a.m. And I'm happy to get it out. And 99% of the time I'm going to be done because I have the time. But if it doesn't happen and it comes out Wednesday, I'm not going to wreck myself over that either. And that's the big mental health push I took from this was it's super important that I have a video every week. That's why I put a video out every week for while I was on vacation. Which then I also realized that most people that are here in this stream, we've got 14 people out of my 21,000. By the way, we went on a bit of a run for August and we got a bunch of subscribers. Out of the 21,000 subscribers we have, most of them aren't in this room right now. So when I was telling everybody, I'm going on vacation, most of the channel didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those. And again, it's going to be a video next week. I'm going to crush out that Boss Gigcaster 5 extra. I actually might bring you in for a little bit of fun with it. See what you think of it. I know you're a big Boss fan like me, and I think it might be a fun. I was
actually just eyeing their GT 1000 or whatever, their pedal board. I saw the box at L&M and I was like, oh, I really want to do that. But are you doing any
live work? Like, and that's the thing. You need the live work to be able to justify something like that, no?
I mean, you could still, like a lot of pedals in a studio setting. Like I've rigged up my pedal board through a DI box before and recorded into an amp sim through my pedal board. It's rare. But it is something that I would do. Plus,
you could just have the Gigcaster 5 if that's what you want. You've got all of the things that the GT 1000 has. You can have this thing, dude.
And also, it's an interface. So obviously, also the ability to record.
Yeah, absolutely. The inputs. This is the thing. So they're like super quiet inputs. Okay, what's the EIN? Never mind. Shut up. Don't ask. So it's those kinds of things that are like. I wouldn't rely on this as an input for super clean audio. I'm just saying. But for guitar work, yeah, of course, it's not going to be unrivaled because it's Boss. Let me do a couple of these because I've been going on a rant here. K-Mac is back. Yes, K-Mac is back. Saw a couple of his videos. That guy is awesome. He also seems to have like chilled out. He seems to be a little bit more mellow. Red Cabin says, Dylan, Wide Orbit got you down or the people? It's one of the programs in Wide Orbit. It's a horrible program. I've used it before and I freaking hate it.
Oh, what, playlist editor?
Playlist editor is garbage.
Well, yeah, actually, it's when you know what you're doing, it gets the job done. In this particular case, not getting super deep into it, but we had we sort of we're launching a few best of shows on our weekend, and you know, I made a bunch of new imaging for it, and the imaging hasn't been scheduled properly. And by scheduled properly, I mean it hasn't been scheduled at all. So I had to go in a playlist editor for Saturday and Sunday, and we've got 8 hours spread throughout the day of these shows running, these 2 shows. And I'm not going to screw with the templates because I can't be arsed. And so I'm screwing with the playlist. And so I'm having to go and manually edit 8 hours of imaging for several talk shows. And then they're like, oh, did you think there's some stuff on Monday too? I'm like, God.
Yeah, Monday's a holiday, yeah.
Not to mention there was like, it was weird. The editor of the host, and a little peek behind the curtain here, the editor of the show for the best ofs, who's one of the producers on the show, it's, you know, he edited it and he had the imaging for the show in the segment recordings. And so I'm listening to this with one of our other imaging leads, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have doubled up imaging because I got imaging sandwiched between this on the top and the bottom of the segment, and then I've got the imaging that's actually baked into the segment.
Amazing.
Especially the one for a call-in show, which says "call now," but it's like, no, it's Sunday. Don't call now. That's not when you call. And so yeah, that was like 90% of my afternoon. So
awesome.
People mostly. Wide Orbit, yes, it's frustrating at times, and there's
PLE's one of the worst programs
and
I've
you know
ever
what's funny? We're in like Wide Orbit 6 now, and it hasn't changed at all.
No, I know.
It hasn't changed since like Wide Orbit 2.6 or something. Like, it's stupid. Anyway, this is a radio industry stuff, y'all.
Yeah. Sorry. Dan.
Not what people are here for.
Dan, look up KMAC 2020, 2021. Just look up KMAC. He's a phenomenal
and you got to
guitarist.
explain something to me.
Okay.
So the boss talk.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
So the GT 1000, like the pedal board, it's like $1,600.
Yes.
The Gigcaster is $650. What gives? How if it has all of the things that
you can't use it live.
Oh, so it's the premium.
Well, you could use it live. You could use one of the outs. So you could use the right or the left out to go to an amp, and then you could use it like that, but you have to have a computer to use it. So you have to have the companion app. So you'd have to have a laptop, this thing, because you can also plug in a pedal for this.
So it's dumb if you don't have it plugged into something. Like you couldn't run it just on a power supply and be good.
I think you can, but I don't think you can interface and set everything up. I guess maybe. I haven't really looked whether or not you can set it all up and then unplug it and then just go. The memory on this thing is garbage. It's in the megabytes. So that's for when you're updating the thing, which is the worst update process I've ever dealt with in an interface.
Yeah, it just looks like it's pretty much like kind of a project studio.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And if that's what you want, that's awesome. This is awesome for you. It's meant for live streaming. That is it. It's a live streaming interface so you can mess around and impress your friends and your channel members or whatever. And for that, it's awesome. The problem is you're up against a lot when you're an interface too. So I don't know. Wait for it. It's going to be coming out probably early next week, maybe Monday, if I can get everything off my plate that's supposed to be off my plate. I do have a video explaining what's in the future of this channel, but this is coming in. It is fascinating. Midnight Wolf, how's you going? Steve Schnetzler, when I don't get a notification for a while from you, I go to your base site and look for what videos I may have missed. I never just trust the notification system. Yeah, and that's the other thing about...
I don't either. I'm the same. When I think of somebody, channel that I haven't looked at in a while, I'll go out of my way to check their channel.
And this is important because this is part of the reason why I'm making this plan is, one, the notifications don't really work. Two, I got a message from a longtime viewer that I used to chat with all the time that actually messaged me and said, "Holy crap, dude, I haven't seen you in months. How did I get unsubscribed?" So, like, I mean, does it matter at this point if I release a video on Wednesday and YouTube's unsubscribing from me, people from me? So I don't know. I don't think it really matters all that much. Decide to go back to a tighter deadline if you need to later. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, I don't mind deadlines, and I'm going to still try to keep the Monday deadline. But I think just the is the method required? As what I've just said, like, there's people that have been unsubscribed from me unwillingly. Does it matter if I release on a Wednesday? Are people not going to get it if I release on a Wednesday? No, people are still going to get the notifications. And if YouTube does its job right, I shouldn't see any differential in what comes in for views on the videos. And like, I know a lot of even my viewers watch stuff later in the week as well. I'm still getting people that are longtime viewers commenting on video from Monday, talking about what DAW they use. And it's Friday. So does it matter if I release it on Wednesday? No, I don't think it does. And we're going to find out. And if in the future, I no longer need to do a day job, I can go back to Monday release at 11, no questions asked. As long as I have to do a day job, this is going to be what it is. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having to like supplement with doing work on the side. Because you know what? I mean, I basically do this full time anyways. I am literally a podcast editor on the side as well as a YouTuber. I have no complaints about my life. Like Dylan, Dylan runs 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes longer than 8 to 10 hours a day. And I sit here and I watch far too many YouTube videos. That's basically my life. So I'll never complain about my life and what it is, but I do have to make sure that I'm maintaining a mental health break.
Well, and you know, that's one thing that honestly has shied me away from either, because I know if I dumped a ton of effort regularly into, I don't know, like a YouTube channel or even like a social media channel, like releasing music TikToks and getting into that game of things. But I'm like, I do that and I'm signing myself up for literally a lifelong project.
It becomes that, yeah.
And you can't take a break. You think you're taking a break, but no, you're actually doing twice the amount of work leading up to whatever time of break so you're getting the perception of taking a break.
That's not YouTube doing that. That's you. And this is the thing that really
it's us based on, you know, what is sort of accepted consumer behavior, right? Like, I mean, we do this because it's sort of the audience, the psychological expectation. Is this consistent churning out of content nonstop regularly? Like, that's what performs the best, especially in Instagram. They say, you know, like 3 posts a day, however many posts a week. You alternate between these 3 categories of content and you can become like a pretty successful influencer, and then obviously take advantage of the hashtag system. You know, you can become a successful influencer within like a year. If you play your cards right, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of, like, people will pay you for you to talk about things on your Instagram. And I'm like, that's amazing. But that's a lot of things I got to take pictures of and got to get inspired to, you know, crank out.
This is the biggest thing about that, Dylan. I've had the same, like I had about a year ago, actually. I think it was about a year ago. I was talking to a sales director, seeing if there was anything he could do with my channel. And the first thing he said to me was, get on Instagram and do reels. You need to get reels up on Instagram, get as many as you can. They're pushing them like hell. And so I tried it and I did it for a little bit. And then I realized, fuck, I hate this. And the difference is I love doing this. This is what I love. Like, I love reviewing units. I love doing this channel. My second channel gets all of the storytelling out of the way. New video just dropped about 9/11, by the way, which I think is one of my best videos I've ever done. Absolutely love the video. So I love this. It doesn't hurt me to do it. It's more like that's what drives you forward, and that's what gives you that like, ooh, I want to do it. I want to do videos. I came back at the end of August like, yes, let's get some stuff done. But when it's stuff that you don't want to do, like Instagram, I have no idea what I'm doing with Instagram, TikTok, all that. They're like, dude, you got to get on TikTok. It's what? No, I don't want to. I'm not going to.
I'm not down for that.
The only thing I will do is on my second channel, I am doing shorts. And those shorts are basically add-on content from videos already done. So I have a 9/11 short ready for tomorrow. And that short's going to go live on YouTube as well as Instagram. I am willing to do that, but I am not doing extra content. And that is where, when you start doing shit that you don't want to do, is when you burn out. And that's when you become, screw this, it's not worth it. Because, God, it's so hard.
Or you get to Linus's point and you hire other people to do the shit that you don't want to do.
Yeah, like you hire a social media person. Like that's why they exist.
Hire someone to edit your videos and make automatically make TikToks. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like you just work on the YouTube thing, and then you got a TikTok channel that just magically populates with things. You don't even have to lift a finger.
Guys, if you want to see this, by the way, the membership, there's information on that down below. You know.
Yeah.
Well, but it's true, right? It's like there's been so many things that. When you start splitting your time, something's got to get chopped off. I was doing really 2 videos a week.
That's the thing about starting any kind of a business that's the toughest is for that first little stretch, you got to do everything. The shit you want to do, the shit you don't want to do, until you get to the point where you're successful enough that you can actually accommodate paying for another human being, literally paying to keep them alive. Then you can start, sanctioning off some of the crap you don't want to do. And before you know it, you got a team of 10 people. But like getting past that first stretch of however many possibly years where, you're the only one that you can afford to have, on the payroll.
Yeah.
That takes, especially in content creation. Like other businesses, generally you start making a profit immediately. Content creation, you don't start making a profit immediately. Well, you're definitely going to be in debt. You're going to be in debt for time. You're going to be in debt for buying shit.
There's a couple phases you go through. The first phase is working full-time and doing content creation. Second phase is sometimes for some people working part-time as your content creation picks up and you start. It's more of a supplement to your income than it is just a few dollars. And then there's this like pseudo full-time content creator where you kind of got to take side jobs. So instead of you doing part-time full work and a side show of content creation, now you're a content creator with a side gig of, like, for me, I'm picking up podcast editing, which is very lucrative for me, but it also takes a lot of time and it's very, very intense work. And then the next stage is full-time, where I no longer need the side product. And then you're full-time, and then you get to a point of full-time work that you have to like start taking globs out and giving it to other people. I wouldn't get an editor first. Editing content is my favorite part of this process. I prefer that over everything. I hate shooting product. Like I hate shooting B-roll. I hate shooting that. That's stuff that comes along with the editing process. Don't care. Love writing as well. I think if I got somebody in, I would get a salesperson, would be my first thing in. Salespeople bring in more money. Then with that more money, you can hire people out. Social would be the first one that I would get a social media ninja, as they call it in media. And I would hire somebody to basically upload my videos, like fill out all the stuff. They would be in charge of all content distribution. And I would just make the product, hand it to them. Then the next I'd get an editor, I think. So, like, it depends on, like, some editors out there are just like, mwah. They know exactly what to do, and they make you look like a god. But I'm pretty good at it thus far. Like, that's the
other hard thing is, like, when you've gotten to the point with a skill, where you're like, I'm not passing this off unless you prove to me that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and like, that's something that I'm really proud of, how much I've learned in editing. By the way, my editing's fully over to Mac now, eh? I just edited a short in Premiere Pro and I wanted to rip my hair out. Fuck Premiere Pro. I will never edit in Premiere Pro again. Ever.
Really, eh?
I am completely happy to like just get it out. I'm done with Premiere Pro. The whatchamacallit, Final Cut Pro, 100% easier. For doing YouTube stuff, I can't speak on a professional level, but for YouTube stuff, Premiere Pro is trash level. Like trash level. It's just so much easier. And also the nice thing about my Mac, I use the touchpad, a mouse, and a keyboard. So I literally have 2 mice, and I have trackpads for squeezing and pinching and all that stuff. The mouse is for movement, and the keyboard's a keyboard. Like I will never, ever, ever, ever go back to Premiere Pro. Why do I hate Premiere? I use a torrented version. It's not that I hate Premiere. I always used to think like Premiere was the best. I knew it. It was the workflow was all there. Yes, it was.
The problem with Adobe products, Adobe products, I'm gonna get so much hate for this. Adobe products are not designed for speed.
You can get fast with them though. You can.
Compared to other products, I mean, you know, fast relative to maybe the default of how you start when you use Adobe. And like, there are things like Photoshop. There are things that Photoshop makes very fast. But in terms of that's not what it's made for. It's made for depth and quality. Like the things that you can accomplish, you know, linking After Effects and Premiere together. If you're fluent in both of those tools, like you can do big budget film stuff, and yeah, you could do a lot of that stuff in Final Cut as well. You need some third-party tools because obviously Final Cut doesn't do VFX shit.
No. Yeah,
so
but you can. So but this is where I was saying, just doing YouTube stuff. Who cares?
Well, and that's why like application. The same with Pro Tools. Like, is Pro Tools an amazing DAW that can handle anything you throw at it, like Premiere or Final Cut? Yeah, but it is definitely more useful for certain applications over others. Like the film industry, Pro Tools is your baby. If you were doing audio for video, Pro Tools cannot be beat. You know, its integration with video, its editing capacity, its integration capacity. You know, as far as a non-linear editor paired DAW, it's because it makes Audition look like a joke.
Oh, of course.
Nuendo's
100%.
Nuendo's okay, but Nuendo, you know, I wouldn't be inclined to use it. But it's all about application. So in your case, I totally, having been someone who hasn't really used outside of Mac OS 9.4, I ain't used Final Cut in a long time.
Yeah,
But from what I remember of it, it was easy to use. I mean, in my head, I think at the time I kind of compared it to like a souped up version of like iMovie.
It is, but here's the thing. So it's the little things. So Premiere, if you download an image that is a WebP image, so the WebP, it's web page.
The Google format.
Yeah, the Google format. You can't bring that into Premiere Pro. It doesn't recognize it.
Because we know that Adobe has the codec for it because Photoshop opens them.
Yes. However, in order to use it, you have to open it with Paint, save it as a JPEG, and then you have to click on you're gonna lose transparency.
I kind of like slow double click on the file in Explorer and just change the fucking. I don't even say. I just change Windows reads it the same no matter what.
But
so even if you don't change it
with Final Cut, you just pull it in and it works. There's no issues. It's those little things.
Well, yeah, and that's like the integration. Adobe sells themselves as having really good integration between their products.
Yes.
But it's not the case. Obviously, if that was the case, then the Photoshop resources would just be used to load that WebP image. Because again, other Adobe products read one file type, and like, why wouldn't they read it? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Audition's kind of like that. There are video file formats in Audition that you can edit the audio of, and there are video file formats, codecs more specifically, not so much file format, but there are, you know, the container is mostly irrelevant, but there are codecs that you can and can't edit the audio waveform of. You can see the waveform of all codecs. but
Yep.
you won't find out until you go to save it whether or not you're allowed to save it.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can screw with the audio, and that's a really useful feature. But that same stuff, you pull it into Premiere, you can edit the audio and save it back with the file. No problem.
I will call it as Adobe Audition is the best, and this, no one fight me, I don't care. The best podcast editor by a mile. I've used whatchamacallit, the journalism one. I just did a fucking video on it. I can't remember.
I see it in my head too.
Hindenburg. I've used Hindenburg. I've used multi-track editors. The ability to edit in single file, like I used to be able to do in SoundForge, and I think that's why I'm so hooked on that, is from my days in SoundForge. Being able to destructively edit the single file wins it for me every time. And then using multi-track to be able to combine multiple tracks. By far, but beyond podcasting and voiceover and simple voice recordings, nah, it's Adobe Audition's dead to me. That said, I'm keeping Audition and Photoshop. That's all I'm keeping. I'm getting rid of the rest. And that's just because...
Don't you have the Master Collection?
Yeah. It costs me like $60 a month because I'm a teacher. So... I'm going to be, but that's going down to, I think, $20 a month once yeah. And $20 a month is fine. I can deal with that. I can't, since I've started using Final Cut Pro, has not failed on me once. Premiere Pro almost weekly has this like, fuck you, I'm not working moment. Or like once in a while they'll do an update and then you can't, like, nothing works in Premiere Pro. I haven't had that issue in Final Cut Pro. And... I've already gotten to the point after doing 4 videos where my workflow is faster in Final Cut Pro than it is in Premiere Pro. Tell me, after 4 videos, tell me that's obnoxious. Like, there's no reason I should be faster in another editor than I am in the one that I've been using for 6 years straight. Like, almost daily. It took me 4 videos in Final Cut Pro to get faster than Premiere Pro. That's disgusting, no? Like, imagine I offered you up a DAW and within 4 instances you were faster than using Pro Tools. What would your reaction be? Your reaction would be, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's sick. So I'm now a Final Cut Pro boy. Dan says you can type fast, but the QWERTY keyboard was designed to slow you down. I didn't know that. I'm okay at typing.
Yeah, well, I think I saw a video once talk about how the Dvorak keyboard was ended up actually being much more efficient once people got fluent in it. But the problem is, by that point, the world had already gotten so ingrained with the QWERTY layout that trying to force that change was just impossible. So it's kind of like just gave up, even though the format was clearly better. A lot of people would argue the same about Betamax over VHS.
Well, it's interesting about the format, because the format of QWERTY keyboard was set up to allow you to the most used keys are central in your fingers, in the middle.
Yeah.
And the letters you use less are on the outside. And yeah, like that actually, except for the A and the S maybe, pretty much, but even the A and the S, your hands are still on the A and the S, right? So your fingers are on them. So I like QWERTY. The QWERTY approach. I was also trained in high school.
It never bugged me. I'm not, I have learned just because of the amount of typing, and you work in radio, and you know how much typing.
Oh, dude, I do a 4,000 word script in a day. Like, I script shit all the time. I write probably 4 scripts a week. Like, I write a lot. So yeah, that's radio
creative. That's creative writing, though. It's a little different.
Oh yeah, no, it's not like I'm not researching. Well, some of it, but not like a PhD or anything.
But yes, in terms of just like raw typing, communication ends up being, and in the radio business, everything is by email.
Yeah.
Everything is by email or by everything is text communication. Nobody talks anymore. Calling someone up with a question is freaking weird. Like, who does that? It's become very antisocial.
I do it all the time still. I fucking hate texting or emailing, especially when I've got a question that I want you to.
Me too. And people have told me, like, why, I texted you. Why didn't you text me back? I'm like, it's a Wednesday. so I'm working.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I hate texting because you can't multitask and text.
No.
Because in order to text, you have to stop whatever you're doing, put whatever you're doing down, and go and type out a thing, and then come back, and you're going back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, no, like when I'm into something, I'm into something. And constant interruptions is more of a nuisance than anything. So yeah, no, if you message me and I hear my phone buzz, it doesn't even. Sometimes I'm at home and I'm like, I am busy.
Yep.
I don't need to respond to this right now. Yes, I heard my phone buzz. Yes, that is something now that is going to be sitting in the back of my head until I deal with this. But I don't need to deal with it right away.
But at the same time, and I've done this,
that-
where if I need an answer, I just call you. Like,
Yeah.
and I've done that to you a few times where I'm like, fuck, no, I need the answer right now because I'm doing this. So I'll just call you. That's it. All right, cool. Thanks, man. Cheers.
Yeah. Phone ends up being a lot easier in most cases, especially because you can multitask. Like I'll be in the middle of my workday, and my best friend, she'll call me up. We'll have a 2-hour phone conversation. I'll close my door, and I'll be working in the middle of my workday. No problem. Can't do that in text format. To do that in text format would have taken literally all day.
I've turned my phone off on a few occasions. Dan says the fastest typists used to jam their typewriters. Yeah, I can imagine the old Dvorak. I still remember jamming mine if you went too fast, because if you went key to key too fast, both of them would link up. And
Yeah. My Smith Corona had that where the two, they come down and they get locked together, and you got to reach in and pull them apart.
And it was so annoying. I actually want to get one of those old school typewriters that we used to have. They were so nice too.
Oh,
like
the not the analog, but the mechanical typewriters.
Yeah. Oh, those are so nice, man.
Yeah,
Anyways.
the one I have is electric. It's fun and it's loud as hell.
Yeah.
But it's not as fun as like the big typewriters that had like the 10-inch freaking keys.
Those are
like
awesome.
those are awesome.
All right, it's 6:15. Thanks for everybody coming out, man. I appreciate that. This is fun to get back to. Have yourself a great week, and we will chat next Friday. So have a great weekend, guys. Or
See you next time.
Yeah. Bye.